Hi guys, today I'm going to show a few behaviors of an auto layout button. Button with auto layout as the title says, and I will show exactly how does it behave. Most cases it works perfect. In some, there is a case, by the way, that I will not want an auto layout, and I will show it as well. And let's get to it. So I'm gonna write here a button. The font is Inter, which is became, I think, the default font of Figma just recently, if I'm not wrong. I kind of noticed it. It's a good font because, and I will mention it and show why it's important, the space that we have on the bottom and the top is kind of equal. It's almost equal. There's a half or a small, I think, here. Yeah, that's kind of like a little glitch, but it happens with a lot of fonts. Spoiler, it's kind of very difficult. I have came to be aware of it more and more recently, to find a font which has an equal space between the top and the bottom. By the way, that when we deal with auto layout, it matters a lot, even when kind of like vertically aligning center. So anyway, let's get to it, and I will show the example, more examples of it later on this tutorial. So I'm right clicking on it. I can add an auto layout from here, or just Shift A, PC or Mac, same, add auto layout. As you see, when I'm adding an auto layout, I'm actually getting a frame. It is a frame. The icon is different because it's an auto layout. It shows that this is a horizontal auto layout because we see elements one beside the other. Okay, if I will switch it to a vertical auto layout, which I can do it from here, you will see that the icon changes here. Now you don't see any difference because we have only one element, so it doesn't matter. But you see that the icon have changed, and you see that this is a vertical auto layout. Okay, I will bring it back to horizontal auto layout. We'll show the example a bit later on this tutorial, just in a few minutes. And as a default, you see, we can call this a button. You will see that as a default, this auto layout is transparent. It doesn't have any fill. We can give all the design specs to it as we want. Plus adds a fill. We will give it a white fill. That's okay. I can even give it a stroke. Let's give it also a stroke. Looks great. And you see, you notice, if you didn't, so of course I will highlight it, that when we add an auto layout to a single element, it adds a default padding of 10 pixels around it. A padding means I'm selecting this text box. Actually, you see that the auto layout, by the way, and that's important to understand, it refers to the text element, to this text element, by the size of the box around it. Okay, not only the font itself, the word itself, but this is the size of this element in this auto layout. You will see that it has a 10 pixel padding around it. Padding is an automatic spacing that we have, or automatic or not, depends if we do it or not, but it's a default spacing that we have around elements in an auto layout. If we want the spacing or not, I can even make it now. If this auto layout is selected, the frame with the auto layout is selected, if I will give it a 0 here, it will just take off this padding, and you will see that now it's just wrapped around the element itself. I can bring it back on 10 pixels, and it gives it a 10 pixel equal like around all this element. Okay, so more things that I can do with that. Of course, you will see that the padding I can see from here. The alignment, by the way, is disabled. You see there is no alignment now when we deal with auto layout. The regular alignment doesn't work, and now we have the alignment inside this auto layout that we can control from here. The alignment and the padding around it. Let's say that I want padding of 16 top and bottom. I want padding of, let's say, 40 right and 40 left, and now it looks more like a button shape in its visual look. So I can do it like that. I can also give it a round corners, let's say of 40. So I mean, because I made a big button, of course, usually in your UI it's not going to be that big, but just for the example, because I worked on a big screen anyway. So now it looks like a button, kind of like an oval button. Before also it looked like a button, but less the one that I'm usually working with. So it doesn't really matter. It just depends on the case and your UI situation. So this is the button that we are working with now. If I want to add another element to this button, let's say that I'm going to add an icon. Let's just draw an icon. I can place this icon in a frame, yes or no. Better, by the way, to put it in a frame. It's a better structure, which I always do. But right now, just to show the behavior, if I will drag, let me give it a stronger color. If I will drag the star icon, you will see that it hints me already where is it gonna place it. If I will leave it, it will just place it inside the auto layout. Okay, I can easily drag it and change the place of the star against the text, and I can control also. Now we talked about the padding on the sides. Now I can control the spacing between these two elements of the auto layout. If I will give it a 30 pixels width, space, so it does a 30 pixel space between them, regardless the spacing that they have on the side. This is something which is now as default, no matter what is the spacing between these two elements. I can give it a 100, it will give it a 100, and 20 will give it a 20. If I'll take another star, I can just duplicate this one, by the way, or take another star, and I will just push it between them. You see that it hints me already where is it gonna put it. Let's say it puts it here. Now, if I will make the star smaller, you will see that it stays aligned to the top, even this one. Okay, you will see that, by the way, the auto layout is behaving responsively, in a responsive way, towards the element inside it, because they keep equal spacing and they keep the padding here as well. Okay, so let's say I do something like that. If I want them aligned to the middle, I can just click here and align it to the middle, and then it's going to be aligned to the middle. They have the same spacing here and here. I can just click on one of them, drag it outside, and then it just goes away and it gets back. It adjusts the layout actually according to the elements that I add or remove from it. This is part of the being an auto layout. It's an automatic behavior of this layout. Okay, this is the whole idea basically. So, by the way, if I will make it now a vertical auto layout, you will see that now it places the elements one below the other. See the icon here. It maintains the padding that we have here and here, and the spacing that we have between these two elements, which right now is 20. I can make it 0 or I can make it 50. So I'll get something like that. Okay, I can easily change their position. I mean, I can replace or swap their position. I can control D and add more elements. Okay, and this is like already kind of like a general auto layout behavior. Now we'll make it horizontal. I'm getting something like that. I can just drag them and change their position easily. Okay, something like that. By the way, you will see that this star, it doesn't look like it sits exactly in the middle, but it does. I mean, it kind of like misleading a bit because the text sits in a different way. But if you'll take the space from here to here and from here to here, it's exactly the same. It's just that it sits exactly on the middle of this text box. That yes. Okay, now okay, you will see now that it does change, and I'm going back to what I said about the font. It does change. If I'm going to change the font here, let's say Lato. Okay, you will see now that in Lato, for example, it doesn't look exactly in the middle, because Lato, the text box itself, it has less spacing in the bottom and more spacing on the top of it. So it's a bit different, and there are fonts which is even more extreme. So yes, I do look at it when I choose which font to work with. Anyway, in a product it doesn't change that much, but anyway, when I choose a font to work with, I usually try to choose a font which has a good text box around it on the top and the bottom. If it's equal, then it's great for working with auto layout. Okay, now, so this is the hug contents, which means that hug contents, it will adjust all the time according to the elements which it has inside it, the auto layout itself. Okay, more elements, it will grow its width automatically like that. Okay, now I can turn this auto layout and make it a fixed width. You will see now that when it's in a hug contents mode, then you see that the width and the height, actually the width more specifically now, because I am talking about the width of it, it's disabled. Okay, if I will switch it to fixed width, you will see that now it's enabled, and I can change the width. By the way, by dragging it as well, I can just drag it and it will automatically change it to a fixed width with the width that I gave it. Okay, now I can place these elements aligned center. It will still maintain the spacing that they have between them, meaning here, I remind you, okay, this is the spacing between the elements. Control D, I duplicate another one, another element, it doesn't matter if it's another word, and then you have the spacing here and here. Okay, but you see that no matter how many elements are going to be inside it, it's not going to change the width of the button, okay, or actually the auto layout that holds them. The minute that I will switch it back to hug contents, now it's going to be wrapped around all the elements inside it, plus the padding that we have here. Okay, so this is understanding how the button behave in a fixed content, sorry, in a fixed width or hug content. Okay, so this is the main difference. Now, if I add an icon, here or here, so I can sometimes want it to be adjustable and be responsive to the width of the word that is inside it, and sometimes I don't. So it depends. Let's say that I am having this button with the icon. I'm going to duplicate another one here. I will put them both in an auto layout of themselves. This auto layout, I will call it buttons. It holds these two buttons. Now, I'm changing it to a short number, let's say 12. You see that it adjusts according to the length of the text inside it, okay? And here, I can, of course, adjust the spacing. Let's give it a 30, and that's, again, I can duplicate another one, change the text here, just give it a long text. You will see that it adjusts according to the length of the word, or actually the length of this element inside it. Okay, and if I will give it a fixed width, by the way, okay, and now I'm giving it a fixed width, so it's a fixed width, and now when I'm typing a long word, it doesn't change, as I showed before, the width of the button. Now, sometimes you can do something like that. Let's say here I will give it a text. Okay, and I will have an icon. Let me see the height of it. This is 48. I want an icon which will sit in a frame that will be 48 height, because I want it to be the same height as the text box itself. And let's say that I'm doing something like that. Okay, now I will make it, leave it like that. I will call this frame icon, and I will just push it here. Okay, I see that I need to make this icon a bit bigger, something like that. Okay, you know what, this is too big. Okay, now, okay, that's good. And by the way, all this what I'm doing here, it doesn't matter if it's a component or not. I can turn it into a component. It's still a frame with an auto layout, so it doesn't matter if it's a component or not. Okay, so it behaves exactly the same. Now, I'm gonna duplicate this icon, put this icon here. I will flip it, flip horizontally, and make it I can leave it in a fixed width. Yeah, that's okay for now. I'll make it a bit shorter, and I can use it like that. I can have a button which I will switch this one off and call it next, and I will duplicate it, switch this one off, and we'll turn this one on, and I can write here back. Okay, so see how this one button I can also already start using with different icons that I'm placing in it. And as I said, it can be fixed width or hug contents. Here, same thing. Hug contents is just going to adjust itself minus the padding that we have here on the sides. Okay, so I guess that's all pretty understandable and straightforward. Now I will show another situation which maybe I don't want the auto layout. Okay, sometimes there are situations which I don't want either my button to be adjustable according to the length of the word. Second, I don't want this icon to move all the time according to the word that I'm typing. I mean, if here I will put just a short number, so you see now it's adjustable. If I will make it a fixed width, let's say that now if I will write a longer word, you see that the icon is moving according to the word that I'm typing. Now, not in 100% of the cases, this is what I want. Let's say I want a button that has an icon here, just placed here, and I want this word, when I'm writing, let's say it can be next, it can be go, it can be send, it can be, I don't know, different kind of buttons with different text on it, and I want the icon all the time to stay at the same place. Okay, so let's call it send. And what I can do now easily, because it's already a frame, I can just remove this auto layout either by clicking here or right clicking and remove auto layout. Now I can freely just place the icon, let's say here, and I can send, go, any other text, it doesn't matter, but you see that the icon stays at the same place, and maybe sometimes this is what I want. So in this specific situation, auto layout doesn't serve my UI needs. So we don't have to force it if it doesn't fit our UI needs. In most cases, it's doing a wonderful job. In some cases, it's not exactly what we want. Okay. So yeah, that's about it, guys. I think I didn't want to make this tutorial too long, actually. I hope it was understandable and helpful. And if you like this tutorial, I would be happy for a like, and would be happier even if you subscribe to my channel. That would be really great. And see you in the next tutorial. Thank you so much for watching it. Bye for now.